So today we're going to talk about the 4 elements and how we can embody those within our body, our being, and embody what the element can bring to us and what it can share with us. For this practice today, we're going to need 4 representations of the elements. I like to use a rock for the earth elements. This is symbolic as being heavy weighted. I like to use rocks instead of particularly soil, but if you want to use soil, if that is something that's more helpful for you, then you can use soil as well. But I do love the weight and the heaviness, especially using this in this particular practice. The next element is air, and for me, I like to use a leaf. Some people like to use feathers. Anything that for you represents lightness, airiness, something that can be possibly carried in the air, things of that nature. But I love leaves because I love plants. So I use a leaf, and all of these things are actually from my backyard. I actually just picked this up this morning. This is a rock that my kids painted many, many years ago, and I love it because it has a wave and a rainbow on it. So it's really fun, and it reminds me of being grounded in my family. And then the next element is fire. And again, this is just a little outdoor candle that I have. So to be safe as you're outdoors, just light that up for my fire element. And then water. I love a clear glass, especially for this particular practice, just so we can actually see and look at the water, as well as I use spring water. The most natural water that you can find is really great. It has all the minerals and elements of water in it. It represents the fluidity of water. Yeah, so once you grab all of your elements, finding obviously a spot that is going to be quiet and you can reflect on these elements without possibly interruption. I know that's not always possible, but as much as possible. And yeah, just a comfortable spot. I chose my backyard, which is my sanctuary, and a beautiful spot for you to be able to connect with nature and be within its elements. So just finding yourself into a spot that's comfortable for you. With this particular practice, and it's going to be somewhat of a meditation, I would suggest possibly sitting. You could do standing as well too. This wouldn't be one that you would want to really lay down with, just because you're going to be utilizing elements, and it might be a little tough to do. We're going to start with the elements of earth. Usually I have some sort of symbol for all of the elements that I do through, I like to call the women's medicine wheel, or the wheel of life, whatever you want to call it. And so each element has a symbol, and I like to use obviously something that is going to be representative of each element. I always start with earth. Earth is always obviously very grounding. It's the soil, it's our North Star, and I like to use rocks mainly for this instead of earth or soil, because rocks are so dense and so heavy and very grounding. What we're going to do is go through a little elemental meditation, and that meditation is going to bring us into what the element is, how it feels, how it can feel in our body, how we can connect with the elements, and basically be able to recognize the elements within our embodiments and be able to utilize that in our day-to-day life. So let's just get settled in our seats. Possibly closing your eyes if you like, and just centering yourself in this time and space. Taking a deep breath in, noticing your exterior senses of hearing, noticing what's in your environment, as well as your physicality of where you're sitting and how you're situated on the surface that you're sitting on, and just noticing the connectedness of your body on top of that surface. And then just opening your eyes and anchoring into the exterior around you, maybe looking at a plant or what the sunlight is doing at this moment, and just noticing that. And then bringing those feelings into your embodied core and your sense of self. noticing where you're at right now in your emotions or the physical space. Just noting that and anchoring into this time space. Okay, the first element that we are going to look at today is earth. So like I said before, I chose a rock to represent earth, which, as we know, is compressed earth. Has all the elements of earth. So you have all the minerals, you have all the sand, you have soil. I'm sure that there's probably bones and whatnot, plant material all rolled up into here, which to me encompasses earth. And again, because of the weight and the heaviness and the age probably of this rock, you know, it takes, I don't know, I'm not a geologist, but I'm going to say tens of thousands, you know, or maybe even hundreds of years. It takes a long time to make this material. That is part of the rootedness and the groundedness of the elements of earth. When you pick up your rock, just holding your rock in your hands, or whatever earth element that you've chosen, and closing your eyes for a moment and just noticing the weightedness, the touch, the feel of this rock. Notice how it molds to your hand, how you do have to use some effort to hold it up. Just feeling the density. And then maybe even rubbing your hand over the rock, feeling its texture, how it's could be rough and smooth at the same time. And just taking a moment to see what that feels like in your hands. And feeling if you can notice that same feeling within your body. Can you feel the groundedness and rootedness of your sits bones as you're sitting or standing upon the earth? Can you feel the weightedness and heaviness of your body? And noticing the embodiment of earth within yourself. Allowing your eyes to open and looking down at your rock. Just like I said before, noticing that this particular object could be tens of thousands, hundreds years old. And noticing that this is what we're anchored into. This is what we are rooted into on Mother Earth. And how we can connect to her groundedness, her stability, and her nurturing of those elements. And then letting our rock go and putting it back down with our other elements. Taking a deep breath and letting go the elements of earth and moving on to elements of air. Looking down at your leaf, picking up your leaf or feather or whatever elements you're choosing in nature to represent air. And again, holding this object in your hands. And the first thing that I notice is the difference between the grounded earth elements and this dried out leaf. What I'm noticing is, as I tune into it, noticing the lightness. In actuality, that for me, I really can barely feel this element. There are little tiny spaces where I can slightly feel its very lightweightedness on my hands, but for the most part, it is light as air. And just taking a moment to feel what that feels like in your hands, noticing the quality of air, the lightness. And seeing if you can find that anywhere within your body. Noticing in your body where there are spaces of lightness, where you feel a little bit more joy or happiness or expansiveness in this space. And tuning into those spaces within your body and noticing the quality of air within. And even noticing your breathing as the air comes in, as it expands your lungs, and then releases out through your mouth, noticing possibly a little bit warmer sensation as the air leaves your nostrils or mouth. And then just maybe taking a second to notice the air around you and noticing how it interacts possibly with the leaf that's in your hands. Right now it's a little windy in my area. Thank you, wind. So I can feel the leaf in my hands as it's just ever so slightly moving around and being supported and carried by the air. So putting down our element of air and transitioning from air, letting the quality of air go within your body and with the exterior space around you. Okay, so our next element is fire. Like with a lot of things that the elements I have, I just used an outdoor candle holder, and which is really great because it helps with the winds. And right now you can see it's moving through but not going out. So the element of fire, taking it in your hand, and even within this is this glass receptacle, I can feel the warmth. So the element of fire brings in the warmth in our body. Fire is nurturing and is used to transmute and move and create things. So holding it in our hands, we can feel all of the alchemical process that fire is. Fire needs that spark of electricity. It needs the air in the environment, and the winds, as well as the earth to be able to move into a space of creativity and transmutation. So holding fire in my hands, I can feel within its warmth all of those creative processes. Just being able to, even at this space, I can feel with my other hands how even this tiny little flame can bring so much heat in life. This tiny little flame, I can feel all the way this high above the receptacle that it's in. And just taking a moment to feel that against our hands. Just noting what that feels like for you, bringing in words or sensations when you're noticing the element of fire. And again, being careful and safe. I believe this is a metal top on my, so getting close can be a little too hot. And just taking a moment to notice this element within our bodies. Noticing where we feel heat. Noticing where it's warmer. Noticing where our attention is brought when we think of the element of fire. For me, when I notice the element of fire, it brings me into my solar plexus, into my core. Noticing where my gut intuition is. And noticing where my passions are. Taking a moment to find that space within your body where the element of fire, passion, nurture, transmutation lies. Into also the grounded nature of fire. On the women's wheel of the world and of the cycles, it is opposite of Earth. So it has its grounded senses as well. Feeling like fire is groundedness in motion, allowing our true north to be brought into fruition, transmuted, created. And releasing the element of fire, putting down your fire source, allowing the awareness of where your fire is in your body to move away and dissipate. Bringing your attention and awareness back to your center and your core. Opening your eyes and noticing your environment around you. Connecting to your environment through nature, either plants or a felt sensation of your body sitting on the ground. As we release fire, we move into our next element, which is water. I love doing the element of water because it's one of the ones that you can use your sensation of taste. Moving into the element of water and using the sensation of taste, I can feel the moisture on my tongue and as it went down my throat. Still lingering in the sensation of taste is the taste of water. Noticing the mineral contents, the slight sweetness of this particular spring water that's in this vessel. And it's just taking a moment to notice the flow of water as it goes down my throat, maybe even taking another sip if you want. Just really tuning into that felt sensation of taste and of feeling the water that's moving down your throat. And even for me, landing in my stomach, feeling kind of even the sloshy sensation of liquid with the tea that I drank before, and even noticing just the waves of liquid that's in my body right now. the element of water has a sense of flow, has a sense of movements. Water can be considered the feminine yin part of the elements in synchronicity and moving into flow in our daily life, in trust in ourselves, in our intuition, female intuition. And with all of its concepts of the components of water, everything that it takes to make up what I like to call the blood of the earth, and the movements and the nutrition that it provides to our earth as well as our own bodies. And then just taking a moment to notice the water within your body. Noticing your water body. That is a layer of all the chemicals that transfer through your body. Your water body is a very intricate part of all the elements of your own biology. There's water in every cell, every molecule, every organ, every part of our musculature, bones, skin, even hair follicles and nail follicles. I'm just taking a moment to notice the fluidity and flow of your water body within yourself. And noticing spaces where your body might feel a little more in flow, in tuned, in balance. Just taking a moment to notice those spaces. For me today, I notice that the flow is actually in just a relaxed embodiment. Noticing a little less tension in my body than usual. And just honing in on where that feels for you. Just taking a moment to recognize and acknowledge that. And allowing the elements of water to be put back into our space of all the elements. And allowing the noticing of flow in our body to dissipate. And coming back to this time space, connecting with, before you connect to the screen, connecting with nature around, noticing what's in your environment, possibly connecting with a plant or another element of nature. So as you can see, in the 4 elements that we've just went through, we notice that even though these are elements that are outside of ourselves and in the earth and in Mother Nature, these are all elements that are within ourselves and we work together in communion to be able to bring this awareness to the light, and also to be able to work with something that you can do on a daily basis, tuning into your elements and connecting to the nurture within.